sit in one meeting and say, oh, but this is not fair. Look at this individual. They were given an rating this, increment here, promotion here. This other person was given a promotion here, therefore increment here, and whatever, right? So every person will have a different stage. But when you sit in one meeting and say, oh, but this is not fair, and that individual can also say that. So the main point I'm trying to make is that the whole decision-making process, what it should be, is many a time, or what it is many a time not known to most people. And since it is not known, it can be misinterpreted to be not fair or not ethical or not moral. So to me, the first priority is to make sure that everyone understands how the processes work, how the world works, what is the norm. So I think this one is a bit of a layered question and or the layered answer, because what happens is many a times, when you agree or disagree with a decision, you sometimes haven't taken the time to figure out how was that decision arrived at, and even how should that decision be arrived at. And I mean, just take the example of what is happening today in Pahalgam and all of that. And people ask me, what do you think about that? And once upon a time, I think you had also asked me. And I tell people that, I'm a data analytics guy. There are two things I need to have an opinion. One is an objective function. What am I trying to solve for? And two, a set of variables which can help me answer that objective function. And I tell people that when I see some of these actions, I don't frankly know the objective function that the government has. And it is certainly not badla lena hai. I mean, that is the message to the common people because it's easy. And we all in our companies also do a lot of strategic activities. Final message to the employees can be simple to, keep it that. But what has gone behind is fairly complex. So here also, I'm quite sure they have lots of different objective functions, short term, long term. Maybe they want to create a division in the country, in that country. Maybe they want to create whatever. They could be many. Plus, they would have so much of more intelligence. They would have RAW, they would have all the army people, Air Force people, so many other things, diplomats. So the level of information that they have is like humongous. Objective functions unknown. I have nothing to comment on. I don't even know what to say. So therefore, what I say is that sometimes even in office, people are very quick to comment on, oh, this is unethical. My manager gave me a normal rating, not outperform. And I know I'm an outperformer. This is a highly unethical organization. And I've heard that, and you may have heard that. So I think the question really is, what is ethics and what is morality? Some of us have a definition, but different people actually have a very different this thing. And just so that, this year, what we have done in our team, and I brought a lot of young managers into a larger calibration process. And when we spoke to them later on, they said, wow, I never knew this is how rating happened. Because frankly, I mean, you can't just rate someone in isolation. You have to rate in the context of the larger team. There's some kind of a concept of normal distribution, this, that, and the other. So interestingly, what happened was when we told everyone, and they were leads, they were not really managers, and said, okay, why don't you rate your people? Let's see what happens. Interestingly, no one was rated normal performance. There are these 5-point scale. Everyone was rated 4 or 5. Then actually one of them only on his own asked, I said, oh, looks like we haven't defined normal. All of us are saying that our people are above normal. So what is normal? So that's how the debate started. And eventually then people came down to this thing, right? So I'm just saying, and then after that, and these are those times when you say, okay, it is not just the rating. After this, we'll have to give some compensation increment. So you have another lever, how much increment to give. There's a bonus number. There's a promotion idea. There is a retention. So there are many levers through which you can engage and reward employees. So many people look at all of them in isolation, but we all know that you can't do that. So just the fact of making people aware that all of these decisions don't have to be looked at a point in time and evaluated, but over a period of time. That look at this individual, they were given an rating this, increment here, promotion here. This other person was given a promotion here, therefore increment here, and whatever, right? So every person will have a different stage. But when you sit in one meeting and say, oh, but this is not fair, and that individual can also say that. So the main point I'm trying to make is that the whole decision making process, what it should be, is many a time, or what it is many a time not known to most people. And since it is not known, it can be misinterpreted to be not fair or not ethical or not moral. So to me, the first priority is to make sure that everyone understands how the processes work, how the world works, what is the norm. And many a time, many of the newer employees are not aware of some of these things. And we have to educate them. We have to help them understand the worldview of why it happened the way it happened. And we all know, that there is a concept of a compa ratio, there's a peer benchmarking, there's so many theories. But you would hear, especially in performance areas, people will say that I have been unfairly dealt with for various reasons. So my view is that if you make people understand the larger picture, how decisions get taken, what is the data, and ask them that, do you have a better way of doing it? Most likely not, because some of these processes evolved over tens of years. So I do think that it's our duty to also educate people before we can take their opinion to say whatever they have to say. And therefore, only when after all of this, someone find that the organization is unethical or doing something immoral, should action be taken. But sometimes someone can imagine unethicality based on frivolous grounds also, and we have to be cautious about that.